Foot, fight!
All right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest. And today we are talking about Utah's extremely dominant performance over Colorado. At halftime, Utah had 398 yards and Colorado had negative 18 yards. And I wanted to get you guys a video immediately after the game, just capture the emotion, capture the excitement. But I've been traveling all over the place. If you guys aren't aware, I was living in the Philippines. I had to get back to Seattle and then travel back to Utah. So I'm back in Utah now, but I realized I left my laptop charger in Seattle. And so I wasn't able to make this video because my laptop didn't have enough power. But now I have a new charger, so we're good to go there. Anyways, what an amazing, amazing night. And it starts with this guy on the screen here, Byrd Fickland. Byrd Fickland, 23 attempts, 10 completions, pretty rough completion percentage, 43.5%. But the trick with him, guys, is that he made the completions that mattered. 140 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 INTs. And even though he had 13 incomplete passes out of his 23 attempts, he had 1 big time throw and 0 turnover worthy plays. So he's not putting the ball in harm's way. But the guy had such a night. And one of the other advantages, guys, of me doing this next day, it might be something I start doing. We'll see how many views this video gets and kind of how you guys react to it. But if you like me, maybe waiting till the next day to do these, and that's a little better for you guys, we actually get the PFF grades if we wait till the next day. So maybe that makes the most sense. But I also want to go ahead and take a look at the rushing for Byrd Fickling. So 19 carries for the kid, 160 yards, 1 touchdown. So 300 yards in total. Just a monster night. He did have 1 fumble, but really, we're talking about a couple small stains on an otherwise impeccable night. As a runner, Byrd Fickland was tearing it up, guys. And I also want to add to the narrative here, these numbers we're looking at for Byrd Fickland were basically the exact same numbers at the end of the game as they were heading into halftime. He was at like 270, 280 yards, 290 yards, something like that, heading into halftime. So he really, guys, Utah dominated this game. A lot of people are saying that this game, period, not Utah, but just period, is one of the most dominant first halves of football they've ever seen. It's up there with almost anything else. And honestly, for me, I can't really think of a first half in recent memory where it was quite this dominant. And it's funny enough, someone posted a stat. I'm not sure if this is legit, but if you look, he said the last time any football team had a disparity in yards this big, you'll never believe who it was. It was Utah against Stanford. If you guys remember that Tavion Thomas game in 2021, where we were just racking up rushing yards. They just could not stop us. And another note on that is this is our first game with 400 rushing yards since that night. You can see at the bottom here, guys, 431 rushing yards, 50 attempts, 4 touchdowns, and only 1 fumble. Guys, this was such a miraculous occasion. The team came to play. I can't say enough good things about Byrd Fickland. I think when you look at Byrd Fickland's sample, I'm going to go to his passing. I do already have an idea of what happened, but I just want to reiterate. So take a look here, guys. So where Byrd really didn't do super well is in the short passing game, which is I feel like that's pretty easily fixed. I'm not saying it's, check the box, but you get a little more practice in, a little more reps with the ones, that kind of fixes itself. I want to go up here, and if you guys have been following the channel and know what these stats usually look like, this is the intermediate passing, right? So 1 for 2 to the left on a 13-yard pass, 2 for 3 to the right, 41 yards, 1 touchdown. And then over here, over the top, so a deep pass, 20 yards on the left side, 20 yards. This is really rare, guys. We have not seen much of this all year, and I wanted to point this out because this is really in only 2 quarters of football because it was 43-0 at halftime. We weren't going to push the ball down the field at that point. And as much as Byrd Ficklin's completion percentage was kind of dreadful, he completed the passes that mattered. And I'll also add in that he really, really made intermediate and downfield throws significantly better than what we've seen so far this season from Devin Dampier. I think that's worth pointing out. As rough as the stat line on the attempts to completions look for Byrd Ficklin, I really think this is worth noting that he really connected intermediate and deep. You look at that, guys. 4 passes of 10 plus yards for Byrd Ficklin, one of those for 20 plus yards. So really good look. I think I'd have to go through game by game, but I'd say that's as good, if not better, than any intermediate deep passing game that Devin Dampier's had all year. And again, that's only in one half of football where Byrd really didn't have to push the ball down the field after that. These stats, obviously, hopefully the short passing game could get cleaned up, but you double all those numbers, right? Especially in a competitive shootout towards the end of a game when you're talking about intermediate and deep, those numbers could be significantly higher on how many completions he has there. I mean, imagine this is 26, this is 82, this is 40. You guys kind of get the picture here. He really had an intermediate and deep passing game that we hadn't seen before. So I just wanted to address that. And before I officially move on from Byrd Ficklin, I want to make a side note. So like the video if you guys are enjoying this, but comment down below on this side note. I think it's fun to kind of put yourself in the GM chair, put yourself in the Kyle Whittingham, Jason Beck chair. And I'm going to imagine Morgan Scalley's, the future head coach. He's probably involved in this conversation as well. But what do you do at quarterback right now? I'm not even saying, would you bench Devin Dampier? I'm more asking, what would you do at quarterback? Where does it go from here? Do you start Devin Dampier? Do you start Byrd Ficklin? But also, how do you handle quarterback? What if a week from now, maybe Cincinnati, Devin's the starter and he's struggling? How quickly do you pull that switch, right? Because we have seen times, and again, a lot of it is supposedly health related. We have seen times where Devin Dampier's really struggled for stretches of games, right? And especially when it comes to throwing the ball. And if you have Byrd Ficklin and you've seen some magic there, where you look at the stats on the screen right now, guys, on top of that, the throwing numbers I just showed you, where he had an intermediate deep passing game that we haven't seen this season, or rarely seen this season. He also just carved them up on the ground. Now, let me be clear, Devin Dampier also destroys teams on the ground. But I think the difference here was, guys, that they weren't able to just get up in the box and press on our receivers because they had to respect Byrd Ficklin's ability to throw deep, because his intermediate and deep game really did shine in this game. I just want to ask you guys. So again, that's the prompt today, guys. What would you do at quarterback? So would you continue starting Devin Dampier? Would you start Byrd Ficklin? And then I think probably the unanimous conclusion, at least for me and probably for most people in the comments, is right now it's still Devin Dampier's job, right? He had us on a, what was it, 5-2 record. He had us on a 5-2 record, and we look pretty good overall, and he looks pretty good overall, except a couple big flaws in his game. He has some huge strength, but it does feel like there is a problem with the somewhat in the intermediate, but definitely in the deep passing game. It feels like teams are not respecting it enough. So anyways, what would you do? How short would that leash be moving forward after what we saw from Byrd Ficklin? I'd love to know your thoughts. And next, let's go ahead and move over to the rushing attack and the rest of the performances from this Utah team. Okay, guys, and now we're moving to the rushing attack. So let's be clear. Byrd Ficklin was not the only one that had a night. Again, Byrd Ficklin was only 160 of the 431 rushing yards we went for on this team, and only one of the rushing touchdowns. So rushing wise, we just carved this team up. And that's why the passing numbers aren't higher, because our rushing game was so dominant, but also 43-0 at halftime, you shouldn't really be throwing much, right? So right at the gate, Wayshawn Parker, 10 carries, 145 yards, 14.5 yards a carry. He had one monster run for 58 yards. You see the long there. He had 3 carries of 10 plus yards, 2 carries of 15 plus yards. How many first downs? He had 4 first downs. The guy tore it up all night, right? Think about that. So on 10 carries, you have 4 first downs. It's nearly 50% of your carries are going for a first down. I know a lot of people are frustrated why Wayshawn Parker doesn't get more carries. I think in this game, it became clear you didn't need to continue giving Wayshawn Parker more carries. We had clearly won the game by halftime. But also, I think, there is a side note where I do think Wayshawn Parker has gained a lot of weight for this season. And it's not bad weight. Like, he looks physical, tough, and still explosive. But I do think he gets tired. And that does show in the games. I forget which game it was, but I remember he had like 3 snaps in a row, or he had 2 snaps in a row, and then he was out for 2 snaps, and they showed him on the sideline. He was still breathing kind of heavy. Not a shot at Wayshawn Parker if you're listening to this. I'm just saying I don't think fans that are, you know, lambasting the coaching staff for not getting him more involved. I think it's a little bit of, making sure we're giving him the most effective carries possible because he is such a powerful, explosive player that you don't want to waste his carries by getting him too tired. But I do agree with a lot of people that, 10 feels pretty low. In a normal game, I'd hope we're seeing him get at least 15 because after that crazy performance, 14.5 yards a carry, on the season, his numbers are going to be even more ridiculous than they were. I would imagine he's at like 8-9 yards a carry right now. Continuing on, guys, we had some other great performances. Bryce Duke had a couple nice runs there, but that was pretty much garbage time. Nate Johnson, garbage time as well, but had one monster run. You can see here 2 carries, 58 yards. The long run was 56 yards for a touchdown. Another guy you just like to see get a little more action. It feels like he's such an explosive, exciting, dynamic piece. He's a Utah guy, right? He left Utah, came back. He came back to be a part of the program because I think he respects the coaching staff, respects the culture, wants to be a part of this. And I would love to see him get more involved. Again, I don't know exactly what that would look like, but he's very talented and extremely athletic. You can see it when he's on the field, and he doesn't look hesitant. So I would love to see him get more involved. Moving on, Nakari Rogers, not his greatest night, 8 carries, 25 yards, 3.1 yards a carry, but also moving over here, he had 4 first downs. So 8 of those carries, he got first downs. So they were kind of short yardage carries, and he had 1 in the end zone. I remember at least 4 of these carries being red zone carries where they were stacking the box. They knew we wanted to run. So again, the yards per carry looks low for him, but you take a deeper dive, and he looks very good. Daniel Bray, not a huge night for him. Daniel Bray, if you guys have been following Utah football week after week for the past few weeks, has been going off and really becoming a name to watch for Utah. But then last week against BYU really went off, 121 yards, a 50-plus yard run, or 49-yard run, whatever it was, or maybe more. I'm trying to remember exactly how big the run was, but a huge run and a clear focal piece of our running game in that situation. Tons of wide receiver reverses. Tonight, we used him more as a running back, and I think they were spotlighting Bray a little bit because they probably saw on tape that he had become a staple of the offense. They highlighted him. They kind of shut him down. 4 carries for 9 yards. Not what you want to see. Again, I don't think any of the plays that he got, I remember feeling like he could have done much more. I mean, the plays were kind of blown up. It's only 4 carries. It's a small sample. Hope to see him continue to get massively involved moving forward. Isaac as well. I'll touch on his passing attack. It was nice to see Isaac get in there, but I do think it's really a small sample, guys. He only dropped back twice. He threw the ball once, but the one throw he had was a turnover-worthy play where the guy almost picked it off. I thought the guy did pick it off, but they don't have it listed as a pick. So that's just my memory failing me. But then also here, guys, Isaac had 4 carries for 2 yards. I think when you're watching Isaac right now, it's a little bit of deja vu. He looks extremely hesitant. He looks nervous out there. And it looks like he needs to get back whatever he's lost. Whatever is gone. Because even when you're watching him, he is athletic. He is a dynamic player. But he's clearly gun shy, whether it's running the ball, whether it's throwing the ball. He is very nervous and hesitant. And I think a lot of it is, he hadn't been in all season and he's finally getting in and he's like, okay, finally don't screw this up, and probably in his head a little bit, but hope to see him improve as time goes on, because right now what we're seeing, it's not looking great. So hope that gets better. Okay, moving on. So a big plus from what we saw tonight was that we really spread the ball around a lot, guys. Larry Simmons, JJ Buchanan, Ryan Davis all had 35 plus yards. Larry Simmons leading the pack with 39 yards. But I think the guy that really stole the show for me was JJ Buchanan. 3 targets, 2 catches, 1 touchdown. And these, I mean, JJ has been coming on week after week. And you can see here, guys, 1 contested catch opportunity. He didn't pull it down, but he had 2 first downs on the 2 catches he had and really looked great. The 1 touchdown he had, he made a big play, fought for it. Larry Simmons also deserves a big shout out. Another sideline jump up and pull it out of the air type of catch. I mean, I'll tell you this. I thought, on a side note about the Byrd Ficklin, Devin Dampier situation, I felt like our receivers were much better utilized in this game than they have been overall. Now, I will also tell you, Ryan Davis, 7 targets, 2 catches, 36 yards. Ryan Davis felt the blunt of the mistakes uh, by Byrd Ficklin, and so did Dallin Bentley, 4 targets, 1 catch. I mean, they are usually our go-to guys, and I think it probably shows you that in practice, JJ Buchanan and Larry Simmons take a good amount of reps with the twos, which means they throw a lot of passes back and forth between Byrd Ficklin, where these guys don't. So I think that's a really good sign, as a side note, that rough completion percentage probably has a lot to do with him not having the same chemistry with Ryan Davis and Dallin Bentley, because there's very few reps on a week-to-week basis that they would usually get together. So receiving wise, guys, not too many crazy performances here, but I Larry Simmons and Buchanan stood out. They really made some plays and did a great job. Okay, so moving on to the offensive line. Now, this is a group that dominated for Utah, guys. Really, really impressive. I mean, look at that, fellas. 87.2 grade for Caleb Lomu, 83.6 for Spencer Fano, Jaron Kump, 76.8. And you can see the backups got some reps towards the end of the game. Tanoa Togiai, 66.7 about average. Where's Mocha Fisi? Wow, that's weird. Mocha Fisi, 35.6, and he's usually like our guy that kills it, I believe, right? That's weird. But anyways, you could see the offensive line allowed 3 pressures. Nakari Rogers allowed 2, but the actual offensive line only allowed 3. It's a really great game, and none of them were from our tackles and their edge rushers. They actually, looking back to my pregame breakdown, they had a really good defensive interior pass rush. So that's not completely surprising. But either way, really good game in the trenches by our O-line. And again, run blocking, you only get so much from these grades because it really just tells you the grades. But from what I saw, we were mauling these guys in the trenches. And you can see here, so these, it's funny, Moiai and Toalonga, they're the 2 like 6th and 7th offensive linemen that we put on the field. And they played a lot tonight, both of them 20 plus snaps, and a 72.4, 77.7 from those 2 guys. Caleb Lamu, 69.8, Spencer Fano, 66. Surprised these grades aren't a little higher. I really did feel like we were dominating these guys. Shout out to Ryan Davis for the 69.9 run block grade. I'm sure that helped with the downfield blocking more than we see. Let's go ahead and check out the defense. Lander Barton was out in the first half, and we had some guys really step up. Trey Reynolds, not surprised to see his name at the top. I was just about to mention him. He had 4 pressures. I mean, what a night. Look at the rest of these guys. Holy crap. Jonathan Hall, 9 pressures. Logan Fano, 7 pressures. Jackson Benny, it's a safety. It's a corner. It's a corner / safety. And Jackson Benny, 4 pressures on the night. I mean, damn, son. And Jackson Benny, only 6 real pass rush attempts, and he got 4 pressures off it. And you look at here, Trey Reynolds, only 8 pass rush attempts, 4 pressures off it. Logan Fano, 7 pressures. I mean, that's, guys, this offensive line could pass block. I'm a little surprised we were this dominant. I mean, how many? We had 36 pressures. Holy crap. I mean, you could feel it watching the game. Just to give you guys an idea, Utah's offensive line has allowed 24, I believe it was 26 pressures going into this game. So we've allowed 29 pressures now with the 3 we had, according to the stats. So we pressured Colorado more in one game, significantly more, right? 7 more pressures more in one game than our entire offensive line has allowed all season. That is a crazy number. That is a huge stat. Wow, what a great performance by the defense. In coverage, I mean, guys, this was dominant. I feel like the offense was so impressive that the defense, these stats are crazy. Look at all these stops. Jonathan Hall, 6 stops. Pupu, 3 stops. Elijah, 3 stops. Jonah Laea, John Henry Daly, Logan Fano. What a night, guys. What a freaking night. John Henry Daly also had 3 pressures, and I would imagine he was going against Jordan Seaton all night. And for him to do 3 pressures against Jordan Seaton is pretty impressive. I want to flip over to Colorado just to see who he was going against, because if it shows that Jordan Seaton allowed 3 pressures, that would add up. Jordan Seaton, pressures allowed 3. Perfect. So that's John Henry Daly right there. Yeah. So look at that, guys. That's as much as John Henry Daly's numbers don't stand out on the stat sheet today. He was going against one of the better pass blocking offensive tackles in the country and made him look very bad. So that's a good sign. Moving on, let's go back to Utah. Let's just kind of finish up with our defense here. Our guys that played the most coverage snaps. I mean, geez, Lou, guys. Geez, Lou. Look at this. Look at this. Blake Cotton had a ton of coverage snaps, and he allowed -7 yards. And this is on 27 coverage snaps. Smith Snowden allowed, 16 yards. Theo Johnson, 0 yards. I mean, guys, I don't know how much more I could just praise the performance last night. There really isn't much to say except domination, 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 beginning to end. Stick around. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of my thoughts. We know the game day is coming around in this coming week for the Cincinnati game. Huge matchup. I'll just give you some quick thoughts before we get out of here, so make sure you guys stick around. Okay, guys, and Utah is playing Cincinnati next week. Cincinnati is a 7-1 team, undefeated in Big 12 play. And even last week against Baylor looked very dominant at times in that game. We're not far behind, 6-2. The problem for us is we do have 2 conference losses. We're 3-2 in conference play. The good news for us is this is literally for Utah all season. Every single win. Like, go all the way back to UCLA, Wyoming, all those games, and every win since then. Dominant. I mean, our average margin on our wins, I believe, is something like 20, 30 points. Someone stat check me on that. But it really is. I mean, think about that. I think Wyoming was 24 points. This one was 46 points. I mean, and West Virginia was a huge margin as well. I think something like 20, 24 points as well. Arizona State was even worse. I'm trying to think all these numbers off the top of my head, but really, really dominant. Why don't we look at that real quick? Let me see if I can get that. Let's see what our margin of victory has been when we do win, because it really does. Yeah, look, 32 points against Arizona State, 46 points against Colorado. What's 48 minus 14? My math. Okay, so 34 points against West Virginia. Those are all conference games, and we're winning by 30-plus points in all those games. 25 points against Wyoming. Cal Poly, you can't really count that, but 33 points against UCLA. And I know it's a different UCLA team, but still, I mean, holy crap, guys. When we are winning, it really is. This has been such a weird season. Like, our losses are such tight-fought losses that the wins are just really standing out. And I think there's a reason, even though we're 6-2. I want to show you guys this. So we're 6-2, and we're ranked number 24 in the country. And what are they called? Cincinnati is ranked number 17, undefeated in Big 12 play. Look at the matchup predictor. It's a home game, but still, guys, look here. They have an 81% chance, basically, that Utah is going to win this game. That is almost as confident as they were that we were going to beat Colorado. And Cincinnati has looked really good, guys. So I want to make a couple statements about this. So I'm going to do my pregame breakdown later in the week. So this won't be a deep dive on Cincinnati, but this is going to be the college game day game. If you guys aren't aware already, college game day is coming to this game. And that's kind of where Utah's slipped up all year and in previous years. Whenever we get the national spotlight is when we don't win the game. So hopefully we can show up and look dominant in this game. I would love to win a game day. I mean, think about, 2 big noon kickoffs in a row that we lost. The game day we had against Oregon, we lost. I would love to get this win. It'd be a big one. But more than that, guys, I think this just shows you how much respect Utah has. If we could get a big win over Cincinnati, so just a win, period, but if we could get every win we have all year has been very dominant. And I think Cincinnati would be the toughest win we would have all year. But if we could get a big win, like a 14, 17, 20-point win here, I think we would get a big leap in the rankings. And I'm actually, after what we did to Colorado, I think our name got a lot of national respect. Because Colorado, guys, doesn't suck. They're not great. They're not very good. They're a mediocre team. They're not bad, though. They were 3-4 heading into that matchup, and it looked competitive in a lot of games, right? They had looked very competitive. They went toe-to-toe with BYU, and BYU is a very good football team. They're undefeated. They're the number one team in the Big 12 right now. And our only losses are to currently top 12 teams in BYU and Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech might be 13 or 14. So 2 top 14 teams. If we win out, I'm going to make this statement now because I actually do believe this. If we can win out and look very strong, we could make the CFP. I really believe that. I actually think there's a world because Texas Tech and BYU still have very, very tough schedules ahead of them. They were showing it on the broadcast last night, so I looked into it. They have very tough schedules. I mean, this is going to be a grind for those two teams, and so they're going to need to bring their A game. They both play each other. They both play Cincinnati. I mean, there's absolutely a world where Utah still makes the Big 12 championship, and a world, again, this would be a long shot. Both of these are long shots, but the CFP is still within our grasp. We are going to play a decent lineup of teams, the best one of them being Cincinnati. And if we can get a few dominant performances racked up, I mean, stand out of the way because Utah's coming. I really feel that way, guys. I also want to remind you guys about the prompt. I want to know how you guys are feeling right now with the Devin Dampier, Byrd Ficklin situation. If you guys feel that Ficklin should be the starter, I don't think that's crazy. That's not my take. My take is kind of that I feel Devin Dampier should still be the starter. But hey, I'll give you one half. I'm serious, guys. I'll give you one half. If Cincinnati, if that game is like you're really struggling to push the football downfield and they do what BYU did to you and they challenge you to throw the ball down the field and you just can't consistently do it, Ficklin, go in there. And if it doesn't work out, we could, always put Devin Dampier back in the future. But that's really where I'm at. You get if I see it one pretty rough half, and every game matters so much right now, I'm going to go ahead and break that glass in case of emergency and throw Ficklin in there. Devin, you still have the job in my books, and I hope you continue to do well. But I do think we're hitting a situation where the ability to push the ball downfield with some velocity, with some touch, does look like a bit of a problem. So that's my take. I want to know how you guys feel. How would you handle the Devin Dampier, Byrd Ficklin situation moving forward? Like the video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Subscribe to the channel, and let's go kick some Bearcat butt on game day. I'm out of here, guys. Go Utes.
Hut, hut, fight!